Like you can literally go in and like you said, you can 3D customize and see exactly what that arrow is going to look like. But also as I'm doing it, it's telling me the arrow weight and the FOC. It was like a live FOC that you had on
Yeah,
there.
heck yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Live weight, FOC, and spine insight.
Yep.
The In Creation podcast is brought to you by QAD, Quality Archery Designs.
If you want to talk about a partnership that is rooted in faith, this is one. QAD is on mission for God. And it was one of the first upgrades that I ever made to the first bow that I had. I got the HDX, and now I'm rocking the MX2 on both of my bows.
I've been bow hunting for the last 8 years, and 6 of the last 8 years, I've had a QAD arrow rest on my bow. So if you want equipment that is proven to work in the field, we trust Team QAD. All right, welcome to the In Creation podcast, episode 24, where we talk all things Christ and our obsession for bow hunting and archery.
Hey guys, as always, we really appreciate you tuning in, whether that's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or if you're watching on YouTube, we really appreciate it. Do us a favor, hit the follow button, hit subscribe, so that you can get notifications when we drop these episodes at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Central Time for guys like me. We really appreciate y'all's support in doing that. Leave us a review, a comment, to help us get this podcast out to more outdoorsmen, believers, to help spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. And Ryker, if they have any other questions, what should they do?
Yeah, you should text True Life to 97,000. It's going to send you a text link. Click on that link. It's just going to give you more resources about the gospel in your hands.
Yep. And like I've been saying the last few episodes, feel free to reach out to us on the Get In Creation. It's at Get In Creation at Instagram. Shoot us a DM, or if you want to reach out to one of us individually, we are happy to hear from you. We'd love hearing those stories that you got for us. Ryker, any updates on your end? Anything you want to share before we dive in?
No, I mean, season's right around the corner. We're almost there, and yeah, man, ready to rock. And I'm excited for today's guest too. Talk a little bit about some arrow and bow stuff. So
yeah. So I just kind of came across a post that was shared by Corbin's, and was kind of intrigued. Like I haven't heard of this yet. I don't know what it is. So I went to the Instagram profile, and in the bio, it had Psalm 107:1, I think it was, and immediately it was like, okay, like I'm sold. Don't know what the app is, but I'm downloading it for sure. And then reached out to him. It happened to be launch week, so I reached out to him. But we've got Gabe Walls with BowTune app joining us today. So Gabe, hop on in here, man.
How's it going?
good. How are you,
Man.
brother?
Appreciate you hopping on with us.
Absolutely.
So I guess right off the rip, like, I'm not super familiar with BowTune app. Like I said, I heard about it the day that I messaged you on Instagram was like the first time hearing about it through that post. But give us a little bit of your background. You said you're from Ohio. I'm going to make the assumption of kind of grew up like most Midwesterners hunting, but take us through that. Like, what was your youth like?
Yeah, so surprisingly, I wasn't a big hunter growing up. My dad took me out turkey hunting maybe once or twice for like some with our church. So, and I didn't really, I mean, we didn't get anything, but and by the time my dad got the opportunity to whitetail hunt, I was old enough to where he's like, you're clearly not interested. So, and I was always kind of into computers and stuff growing up. So that's kind of where my love for computers and tech and all that comes in. But yeah, I guess fast forward. If you want me to emphasize on anything, let me know. But like, fast forward to, I call it like a butterfly effect to me getting into hunting. So, I moved out, got big into firearms because I moved out with my wife. I was like, okay, I need a firearm to, protect my family.
Yeah.
So I got really deep down the firearm rabbit hole. And then was like, I kind of want to try hunting. I got an opportunity. I'm very blessed to be able to hunt some land that my in-laws have. And I mean, it hasn't been hunted in years. I don't know if it's been hunted at all, just because of the history of the property. But I asked my father-in-law, hey, could I hunt? And he's like, yeah, just no firearms. I was like, okay. So I'm like, well, I guess my only option is archery. So which it was cool. I guess backpedaling a little bit. My dad did get me a bow growing up. Like I said, we just never got the opportunity to hunt with it. So I had shot bows growing up. It was kind of cool. I didn't shoot competitively or anything, but like it's maybe a weekly, monthly thing. It's been so long, I don't remember. There was a local bow shop that had one of those. They might have had some 3D stuff, but what we shot was like this theater screen. I've seen is it Joe Rogan?
Yeah.
Was shooting at it. He has one in his studio. But yeah, it was like this theater screen, and you all shoot at this like theater projection of a deer, and it keeps track of the score and stuff like that. So we did that with a few group of friends, which was cool. But that was my only exposure to like archery and stuff. And so I obviously with wanting to take on hunting, probably 2022 was my first year. I just kind of dove into that, and it kind of took off from there. So,
heck yeah,
nice.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, it sounds very similar to kind of how I got back into it. We grew up. Our grandfather was really pivotal in kind of launching us into hunting, but it was a lot of gun hunting, very. I describe it very traditional Michigan roots of hunting. But I kind of, probably around 16 or so, I kind of fell away from it. And then even more so when I moved down here to Texas, I didn't know anybody. I think everybody kind of knows the state of Texas is 95% privately owned. So there's no public land like up in the Midwest where you just walk in and do your thing. It's very, very different down here. So didn't really have the access to do it. Had a little bit of interest, but then it was, I'm going to guess probably around the same time. What year did you get married and get into the whole firearm thing?
2020.
Yeah. So. Okay. Literally, I was going to guess.
Really?
Yes, I was going to say 2019, 2020 is what I would guess. You got married, got into the firearm because I had been married since 2016, but 2020, the world is ending. Stuff's hitting the fan. I better get every single firearm that I can get my hands on, a ton of ammo. Yeah. And so that's kind of how I fell back into it. Was I bought a couple ARs, a couple handguns. Started and then your YouTube algorithm starts shifting towards that, and then somehow it shifted to meat eater and hunting stuff. And I knew this guy Ryker was an absolute, well, I say he was a slayer. To me, he was an absolute slayer with a bow. And so started picking his brain, and we've got some buddies that have kind of come along with that as well. So that's how I kind of got into it, which is kind of cool to hear a little bit of late or adult onset hunter mentality. So what was that evolution like from the start to now? What does it look like now?
Right. So when I started, I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for this. I don't know. I actually started out with a crossbow. So
hey, you've converted. You've converted. So
no, hey, that's okay.
That's the important part.
And people say it's more efficient. I do believe it is, but I didn't get a deer my first year. I took 2 shots, so how much more efficient, But I started out with a crossbow, and my first year went dry. Took 2 shots at $2. But I instantly got that bug, instantly got hooked on it. And then the following year was blessed with my first buck. Nothing crazy, just this little 4-point.
Heck yeah.
So, and then been very blessed to, I've never really taken anything home huge, but still filling the freezer. I know like last year I got a doe and a buck. So again, nothing huge. I actually got my in-laws let me finally gun hunt. So I was
There
able
you
to
go.
Nice.
take my first buck with a rifle, which was really cool.
Yeah.
Also made me be like, all right, I got to make the switch to a compound bow because I just want something more challenging, you know. So
Yeah.
so this year is my first year with a compound bow, which is surprising. I've
Let's
been on and
go.
off with it the past few years. I've just never been confident enough to like go into the woods with it. So
I think it takes that little bit to like in your mind to just like make that decision like, okay, this year I'm going to use a bow, because
yeah,
it's like growing up, like Alex said, we gun hunted a lot. And then I had my dad's old PSE deer hunter from like the late 90s, early 2000s. But crossbow's starting to get popular, and I did get a crossbow for Christmas one year, and I took it out a few times, but I think I've shot at like one deer with it and never really connected. And then I just one year I made a decision. Well, I was at school, and the school I went to had college property for kids to hunt on, and I didn't really want to shoot a gun. I didn't want to take my crossbow, and I was just like, you know what, this is the time where I'm picking up the bow and I'm not putting it down. So I think it just takes that little decision, like in your mind, to like, hey, I'm sticking with it this year.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. That was like down here talking about the public land. I didn't have access to private, so it was like public land or bust. And I had just heard horror stories of public land down here. We open up for gun like usually the first weekend in November. And I just heard of people like shoot first, check later. And I was like, okay. And it seemed like there was a lot more. Yeah, seemed like there's a lot more opportunity for like archery only areas. And so that I like my hand was kind of forced to like either take the risk of being shot on public land or pick up a bow and have more opportunity around the state, which I've heard even with the guys that hunt up there during archery season. Like I don't want to generalize and say that it's all the crossbow guys, but like the crossbow guys are the rifle guys who are like shoot first, check later. So I try to stay away from those areas, but that's awesome, man. So you've kind of had a little bit of experience in a lot of different areas with hunting. It sounds like, I guess staying kind of on your background. You mentioned, I think your first hunt, you said turkey, something with the church, and then you've got the Bible verse there in the profile. I think the email that I got when I signed up for the BowTune app, I think there was a verse in there as well. I think it was from Genesis 27, if I'm not mistaken. If you don't mind, if you don't mind sharing with us a little bit about your faith and how that's been kind of rooted throughout your life.
Yeah. So I guess first of all, like I've been extremely blessed just to like grow up in a Christian home. So like my dad and my parents have always been Christians as far as I was alive. I believe, I think my mom grew up in a Christian home, and my dad has a little bit of a different story, but he came to Christ a little later in life. And I remember him showing me like his Bible, his first Bible that he got from a coworker, and it's just obviously like a coloring book of just highlighting, which was
awesome,
pretty neat to hear. Yeah. I do remember like one story, or I guess one part when I was really young. I mean, I was probably like 6 or 7, and it's kind of one of my very first like serious like theological discussions. Just sitting there on the swing set with my dad, and just asking him all these questions of like, just I mean, real simple, like who is the devil? Like what? Like what is this all about? And I probably was. I mean, he tried to explain it in the most simplest terms as possible when you're that young. And it's hard to say if I really gave my life to God at that moment, because there's been times where I've been, spiritually stronger and weaker. So I don't really have like that definitive time of like, this is the day I gave my life to Christ. because I was, blessed to grow up in a Christian home. But yeah, I met my wife through the same church as well, or through the church we grew up in, and she's got a very similar story of just growing up in the Christian home and then trying to raise our kids that way as well. So
That's awesome, dude.
Mm-hmm.
How many kids you guys got?
2, we got my oldest is a little over 2, and then my youngest, she was born in January, so she's about 7 or 8 months now. So
Heck yeah, dude. You are you're in the throes, bro. Yeah.
Yeah, my
Dude.
2-year-old's a little terror. He's
Oh yeah. Yeah. I've got a 4-year-old, almost 5, and then a 3.5-year-old, and yeah, a terror is, that's a pretty good description, especially for that 3-year-old. Good Lord. We need prayers on that one. And about to have a third here on the way. And I'm praying for, thanks. I'm praying for our youngest right now, because not the one that's coming, but our 3-year-old, because man, when baby number 3 comes around, like, not that he's gonna be kicked to the wayside, obviously, but it's like, man, you're not the baby of the family anymore. You've got competition for mom's lap, so it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But that's super cool, man. I think you'll enjoy. You said are they both boys or just the oldest?
Yeah, the oldest is a boy, and then my youngest is she's my baby girl. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to be able to discipline her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, because I've only got boys, so it's like the obvious answer is like, of course I'm going to take them hunting. Do you picture taking your daughter hunting? Like, is that something that you are looking forward to, that you want to like really push, or what?
Yeah, I mean, if she wants to go, absolutely. And honestly, like, my boy, and I don't know, I mean, my daughter's got a bit to go, but my boy's pretty rowdy and doesn't have a very high attention span, so I'm like, I don't know how it's and maybe she'll be the same way too when she gets older, but I'm like, I don't know how it'll go.
Mhm.
But no, it'll be fun, I'm sure, when that time comes. So have you gotten to take your kids hunting at all?
I took my oldest this past year, and I was going to give you some unsolicited advice. So, one, like, this is what I did. I took no weapon with me. You've got your in-laws' property, so unless you're like, you've got a massive target buck or something like that you don't want to spook off, like, find some place where it doesn't really matter if you're intrusive. That's how my buddy's place, he's got about 300 acres, 15 minutes down the road from us. And so I just took my oldest over there. We set up in a box blind, and we weren't worried about spooking anything off. And it was great. We sat there for about 15 minutes, and he was like, I'm ready to go home. And I'm like, not yet. We're going to sit here for a little bit longer. He ended up passing out, falling asleep, and it was a good time. I woke him up. There's a little buck that came in. I woke him up, and we got to see that, and he enjoyed walking out in the dark with a little headlamp on. But bring snacks and water.
Okay.
I brought water. I did not bring snacks, and felt like a complete failure as far as like a hunting dad goes. So bring the snacks, maybe a coloring book, something like that, to kind of just like keep them busy during the lulls. But don't put any pressure on it. Like I said, I went out with no weapon, so it didn't matter what came in. It wasn't going to be coming home with us, basically.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I never thought about that.
Yeah, it took the pressure off of me, and then in turn, it took the pressure off of him coming from me, of like, hey, sit still, be quiet, you're making too much noise. It was like, dude, like, move around as much as you want. He at the time, he had just turned 4, so it was like,
okay,
whatever, like, enjoy this, because eventually I'm gonna really want you to come with me, and if I make this miserable for you from the start, when I ask you to come here, be like, no, I'm just going to get yelled at every time I come. And so I Like that was my biggest thing. I don't want that to happen. And now he
Yeah.
asks me all the time, like, "Hey, are we gonna go hunting again soon?" So I feel like I've had at least my first win as far as that goes.
It's awesome.
The In Creation podcast is brought to you by Kool-Aid Archery.
Man, this feels so good. We had Bo on the podcast not long ago, and I've been shooting these Ngulubi 5 mil arrows for about 2 months now at this point, and I've been absolutely impressed with them. Running about 8 GPI and a 300 spine, which is really impressive. I've got a 50 grain steel insert here that comes with it, and it also comes with this 25 grain collar that you can throw up on the top of it. Like I said, incredibly impressed.
Yeah, the 1K and the 3K centrifugal weave just really gives that shaft the durability. And make sure you go check out their whole lineup at KoolAidArchery.com. And if you want a little bit of a discount, check out the link in the description below. Yeah, nice. And my father-in-law, he has 4 daughters total, and all of them, or 4 daughters. Sorry, Zach.
4 kids.
He's got 3 daughters. Yeah, 4 kids, 3 daughters.
Shots fired, Zach.
Sorry, Zach. Yeah, he's got 4 kids, 3 daughters, and his youngest one is a boy. But all 3 of his daughters, man, he got out at some point to go in the woods, and they kept that for quite a long time. My wife probably stuck with it the most out of the other ones. But yeah, I mean, they all used to get out in the woods and get after it quite a bit. So
it's awesome.
Yeah, when Ryker and Natalie first got together, she was the slayer. She was the one dropping.
She was the
big
killer.
Bucks.
That's awesome. Heck yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's
put
awesome.
me to shame.
Yeah. So, well, let's talk a little bit. You mentioned like you have kind of this passion for computers and technology. Where did that come from, and how did that start and kind of play out into what is now BowTune app, I guess?
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, I've always grew up being kind of a, I don't know if I want to say like a computer nerd, just like, I don't know, just introvert, just loving being inside playing video games and stuff like that. And
we're all nerds to a certain extent, so you know,
in
it's
some
okay.
way, in some way.
But yeah, so I started out something that a lot of people don't know about me, but I get kind of like my creative and like video background. I started like a YouTube channel. It's like music based. I don't know if you've ever heard of like a Launchpad. It's like this 64 button 8x8 light pad thing.
Yeah.
So I had a YouTube channel. I did that. It was very successful until it wasn't. Kind of fizzled out. So I did that. I had like a little over 250,000 subscribers, and was really hitting that hard for a while. Learned how to do a lot of the video stuff, and then, like I said, that kind of fizzled out, and I lost one of my like big sponsorships just because the views weren't there, and I always blame it on like I took too many breaks, because like with YouTube you have to you have to keep posting for that algorithm. Yeah. And like those kind of projects take, sometimes a month, or I was trying to spit them out fast enough, but it just wasn't, I don't think it was fast enough. So I told myself, like, once this, like after that, I'm like, I'm going to go to school and I'm just going to put everything into that. And so that's when I decided, after I lost that sponsorship, I'm like, I'm going to go to school for computer science. I've always wanted to learn coding and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. Went to school I did it all online through Southern New Hampshire University. So
okay.
I was able to, be full-time, but also basically do school. Kind of switch between full-time and part-time with my son being born and stuff. But that's kind of where I learned to code. And fast forward to my senior year, I was blessed with the opportunity. I was looking ahead because I'm just ready to be done, and I saw that I could have the opportunity to create basically my own project for my senior capstone course. And I was like, well, I built my own arrows once before. I was like, I've always wanted to do some like this, like basically something where I could visualize an arrow, because I had searched for it then. And I'm like, why doesn't anyone do that, where you can kind of see what it looks like, and you can put in your weights for each component, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think it was three different enhancements in 3 different categories that you had to do, and it could be for 3 different programs, or it could be for one program. And so I emailed my professor like a few weeks ahead of time and said, hey, here's my idea. Can I do that for all 3 enhancements? And he's like, no, you can only do it for the one. I was like, well, that sucks. And so week 1 came along, and our first assignment was, explain what you're going to do for each enhancement, why you're going to do it, and how you're going to do it. And so I was like, well, I'm going to do it anyway. So I put in what I was going to do for each one of those enhancements. And I got an A on that document, and it just kind of went from there. So
Nice.
and then it was very rough version. I still have some screenshots. I think I even have one on my Instagram on one of my first posts, just like a really rough 2D version of it. And then it kind of evolved into what it is now. So into first like a more in-depth 2D version, and then a 3D version. So, but
Yeah,
nice.
That's awesome, dude. So it's essentially like, I know all the big bow manufacturers, at least Matthews and Hoyt, they released their new flagship, and then you can go in and essentially like 3D customize the bow build, right? Like, I want this color limb, I want this riser, I want these strings, I want this color serving, I want the twist in the string to be this. Like, you can do everything. It kind of seems very similar. I was playing around with it a little bit the other day. We're recording this on Sunday, August 16th. The app launched 2 days ago on the 14th, and people will be listening to this on Thursday, whatever date that is. So it's about a week after launch date. But I was playing around with it the other day, and it is super cool. Like you said, you can choose your knock, and I'm assuming. So let me back up. This was all a capstone project for school.
Yeah. Well, kind of like the early version of it was.
Okay.
And then I just have continued to build on top of it. So like I was thinking, in terms of like making it into a business, because my wife stays home with the kids, and I'm like, I want, if I have to, I will absolutely go out and get a second job. But I'm like, how can I, I guess selfishly more than anything, how can I still do something where, like, in an industry that I love, being archery and hunting and stuff like that, but also have a little bit of a side hustle. And that's when I'm like, well, I feel like there's a market out for this. It's something I was looking into, and it wasn't there. So that's when I kind of decided to go full in and try to turn it into a business. So
heck yeah. Which, man, I've got like, there's so many different ways that I think that you could take it, and make it unbelievably successful, which I'm not even going to try to recommend anything right now. I want to know more about it. So you can select, kind of playing around with it, you can select the knock, the vane, I think the vane configuration, the shaft, which I was very pleasantly surprised that you had Kool-Aid arrows in there.
Yeah,
so
there you go.
I was pumped to see that.
Heck yeah. And more Kool-Aid shafts coming soon. We don't have them all on there.
I was just going to say, if you can get the Empheses on there, I just placed my order yesterday.
Heck yeah.
So I'd love to be able to build it.
Oh yeah, coming soon. We're waiting on they have certain textures, like the carbon weave. So we have all of the ones that just have that basic gray carbon. But yeah, those are coming soon for sure.
That's awesome. And then you can pick your components, your points. super cool. And like you just said, you're going to be, I'm assuming, adding more and more. I don't really want to like options, I guess. I'm assuming different vanes, different nocks, arrows, maybe components. Um, I would suggest broadheads. Like I think there was 2 different field point options that you had on there. I think broadheads would be freaking sweet. Oh, and I forgot, I don't use wraps anymore, but you can choose a bunch of wraps, and it looked like I think I saw is it Boutique wraps?
Boutique.
Was kind of like sharing some of your stuff, so I assume some of their stuff is on there as well, which is awesome. Like you can literally go in and, like you said, you can 3D customize and see exactly what that arrow is going to look like. But also, as I'm doing it, it's telling me the arrow weight and the FOC. It was like a live FOC that you had on there.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Live weight, FOC, and spine insight.
Yep. Which, Gabe, if you're not familiar, have you heard of Archer's Advantage?
I have. Yep.
Okay. So I used them for a number of years, primarily because just like the BowTune app, it's like it gives you the weight, it gives you the FOC. I think it gave you kinetic energy. But the big thing that I used it for was like spining indications. And they would kind of like, I think it was like from weak to stiff, right? And it would tell you if you're too weak, too stiff, marginal weakness or stiffness, and then like optimal. But what I think is cool is like, one, like you said, you can see the arrow, you still get all of those different things. Something that I think would be, I said I wasn't going to make recommendations, but I'm going to make recommendations because I'm selfish, so I want to make sure that you hear my ideas so that you can implement them. But potentially linking up with what's the guy's name? I think it's Tristan over at Precision Cut. And Yates in the backcountry, the arrow study, like potentially getting some ballistic, the archery ballistic or arrow ballistics study metrics in there, like vane noise level, broadhead noise level, drag, like all those different, dude. Like if you want to really nerd out on your arrow build, like you could definitely do it, which I think would be freaking sweet.
Heck yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then some sort of integration so that you build your arrow in the BowTune app and it just like shifts over to Precision Cut and bam, here's your plug in your velocities and here's your sight tape. I'm just saying.
That would be.
I'm not saying you have to do this. I just think that would be pretty.
I would agree. I would say all I'm going to say is there have been measures to possibly try to do that.
All right.
Whether it'll happen or not, we'll see.
Yep. Time will tell.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah, that'd be an awesome direction, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
So Gabe, with because I haven't had a huge opportunity to look at it, I have the site pulled up right now. So I put in. So basically, I would put in my weight of my components, what shafts I'm using, if I'm using a wrap, vanes, knock, and that will spit out the weight, FOC, and potentially if I'm overspined or underspined. Am I getting that correct?
That's correct. Yep.
Nice. Okay.
So, and we are working on, I would say one of the first few updates we want to do, or I guess I want to do, is a little more refining kind of the spine system, making that a little more detailed. And then I think it'd be really cool to have some really in-depth comparison features. So, and I feel like we definitely have a lot more to show with it too. So, and I know you mentioned broadheads. We definitely have some stuff in the works for that, and it's gonna be really cool. So I can't wait.
Oh yeah,
that's
awesome.
And like you were saying, you thought there was a market for this. There definitely is, man. People are looking. So like that's why the arrow ballistics study was so popular, right? And why it gained so much traction is people are looking for data and intel and live stuff, basically for something to tell them that my setup is working well. You know what I mean? So I think it's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, I mean, You're absolutely right. There's definitely a market for it. Like I said, there's apps that are similar, Archer's Advantage, but it seemed like it kind of got antiquated. Like it was a little bit behind. I'd also say that it's probably more for like the target archer out there rather than for
Mhm.
the hunter, because like there's different like there's cuts and everything it'll spit out on your sight tape on there, and like the sites that they had were the it's like 12 and 24 click system, like the what's the site I'm thinking of? Is it the Landslide? Is the big target archer site? It's just got like the little dial
Yeah,
on it.
from some True Ball.
Yeah, something like that. And so like probably more the target side, but hunters were using it because it was the only thing that was there. Whereas BowTune, I see that being something that hunters will go to. It's relatively simple, and like you said, if you had, all kinds of different configurations on there that you can choose from, and some sort of comparison where I can essentially go in and build 3 arrows, right? 3 different manufacturers, maybe different spines, different vane configurations, and it'll spit out like, hey, here's the weight, the FOC, kinetic energy. Maybe if you guys can get with precision cut and get some of those ballistics numbers in there, like it'll give you drag and sound, and like it could be that there's a market, and it could be something really, really special for the space.
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
like I said, selfishly, the recommendations I made, I'm really excited for you to do those. But so you launched on Friday. Like, what's the plan kind of going forward? Like, we got you on here super super early, I feel like. But like,
Yeah.
what's that next step for you?
I think first I gotta finish up the Android version for the Android guys out there.
Yeah.
I know I've been getting a few a few emails like, hey, I was like, okay. It is in the works. It's pretty close. So, and it was even kind of a surprise releasing the Apple version because it was kind of a pain in the butt getting that on the App Store, just because Apple kept, instead of just giving me a set list, they kept coming back, yeah, this is not correct, fix this. So I'd fix it, and like 2 days later, hey, this is not correct. So finally, literally, so it's kind of cool because Mike at the boutique, awesome dude. He's been helping me out a lot. We've been in contact. He's actually local,
Nice.
just down the road, almost like an hour away. It's crazy. So, he's like, hey, come to my place. He knew I was launching Friday, and literally I got up that morning and Apple had approved it. So I was like, oh, sweet. So
Nice.
it kind of worked out perfectly where we were able to release the web and the iOS version on the same day. Yeah, as far as next steps, just trying to get that Android version out. And then, like I said, we have some stuff with like comparison and like ballistics tuning. I really want to do some really cool stuff with. I mean, even like visualizing where your I think it's like your balance point and your center of mass is and stuff like that based on the FOC. And then there's another term and I can't think of it right now, but yeah, there's some cool stuff that I'd love to put into it because I'm a very like visual learner. Like I can't read a book. I mean, I can, but I just don't get it out. I don't get out of it. What I do if I like watch a video or something like that. So that's kind of one of the other reasons why I took the direction I did with the app. So yeah.
Well, Gabe, we're sitting here talking about your app. What arrows you got listed in there, buddy? What do you shoot?
So for my tack setup, I built Easton 4mm. I think they're Access long range. I got crap. I know they're shield cut. They're AAE vanes, and the glow in the dark boutique wraps. And then I can't remember what the insert is. I think it was the insert that came with the shafts. But for my hunting setup, I am running. I'm gonna butcher the name. It's a Kool-Aid arrow.
Okay. I can maybe help you.
Is it okay?
Yeah,
I'm gonna
we got
butcher it. Is it the new lube or is that how you
Ingulubes.
pronounce it?
Is it Ingulubes?
Yep,
Yeah.
it's the
Is that how you pronounce?
Ingulubes.
Wow, I've really butchered that.
Nope.
Okay.
So we partner with Kool-Aid, and we've had Bo on the
Okay.
podcast, and so he
Heck yeah.
schooled us up on it and he loves that like people can't pronounce
Yep.
it. Like that's part of like as much as it's not part of his marketing scheme, it's part of his marketing.
Yeah.
It's like
That's
if I
awesome.
can
It definitely is part of his
if I
marketing
can throw
scheme.
out some names that nobody can pronounce, like people will
Heck
talk
yeah.
about it 100%. Yeah, Ingulubes, I've got some. I'm running them right now, and then I've
Heck
got
yeah.
some Infeezys. So that's awesome, dude. Yeah, I think you're gonna be very impressed and pleased with the Ingulubes. They've been.
I'm looking forward to it because
Yeah.
The In Creation podcast is brought to you by First Form.
Hey, First Form, incredible products. I've been using them for a little over a year now. Personally, started getting integrated with the First Form Outdoors team back in August or so. Just phenomenal products. The OptiGreens, the Formula One Clear, the Enduraformance. Been using them all. Incredible. Got to check them out.
Yeah, Form Energy and the Level 1 bars. Dude, I thought they tasted awesome. I still rock the First Form Energy, pretty consistently. So I thought they were great products. Funded our deer camp basically last year. So
He kept us going out in the woods. Well, hey, if you want to get your own First Form products, be sure to check out the link in the description below.
I love what they stand for. I talked to Bo, and
Yeah.
I love that company, and
Yep,
Bo's a great guy.
he is, man.
Yeah, Bo's awesome.
He's incredible. I love that guy. Was just texting him the other day. Yeah, I feel like every week I'm texting him, asking him questions. I had to ask him recently. I was like, okay, I'm going 4 mil, but I'm torn. Like, do I go in Yachty and go super light, or do I go Infeezy and get that 1K weave and the durability? And he was like, man, I shot the Inyatis all last year. They did phenomenal. He's like, but if you want that extra confidence and durability, Infeezy is a phenomenal shaft. And I was like, okay, Infeezy it is. I'm buying it. So he's always there to help and answer questions and joke around. He's also hilarious. So.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Nice. Yeah, I'm rocking Inyatis. They're in the cart, and I got the okay to pull the trigger. I just haven't yet, but those will be coming here in the next week or so. But I was torn between the weave too. But I mean, I can't get past the 7-8 GPI. I have to. That's what I'm rocking with. I'm gonna throw a bunch of weight up front, and that's what we're rocking with.
Heck yeah. Yeah, I was also kind of torn between because the ones I'm running, they have the weave, but then the other ones I was looking at were I think the Nandos. Is that they don't have that weave, and I was like, I just think the weave looks cool, so I kind of went that route. But
the weave does look.
It definitely does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, heck yeah, dude. So what you got Ingulubes for the hunting arrow this year? What bow are you shooting?
Hoyt Ventum.
Okay.
So
nice.
Yeah, I think it's the Ventum. Yeah. So a few years. I think it's a 2021 bow. Last time I looked. So
that sounds right. I actually was looking. I think it was either the Ventum or the Ventum Pro. They made in a 34 axle to axle, and back right after Christmas, I was actually looking to buy one to use as like a hybrid hunting target rig. But man, like they were hard to come by. So never did pick one up. That's awesome, dude. So what's the plans for this year? What have you got as far as hunting? Are you just sticking close to home or?
Yeah, just sticking close to home. I actually told myself I'm taking up the compound bow this year for technically the first time as far as hunting goes.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, I'm not going to be as obsessive over it this year. And then I went and I checked my camera a few weeks ago, and I ended up getting a deer with 3 antlers.
Nice.
And I was like, what the heck? I've never seen that before. And where I'm at in Ohio, people say Ohio's known for big deer. And where I'm at, it's we're not southern Ohio, so it's not huge deer. So I'm like, man, I gotta try to. I'm gonna be, I don't know, pretty obsessive over that deer probably this year. So, or I probably won't even see him again. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
that would be the way it'd work for me. People for some reason, everybody down here thinks that Michigan is just another Midwest state with just giant bucks. And we have some areas that have some nice bucks, don't get me wrong. But for the state and as a whole, we're not one of the big buck states of the Midwest, right? We're not a Kansas, we're not an Iowa. We're probably not even an Ohio or Wisconsin. We might be the bottom of the bucket as far as Midwest states go. Ryker's nodding his head along.
We definitely are. We're definitely out of all the rankings in the Midwest states, the least, at the very bottom
is Michigan.
Yeah.
But a few years ago, I had a cell camera up out by our cabin, and do you remember this video, Ryker? It was it's probably one of my favorite trail camera videos I've ever gotten. It was $3, and it was a quick video, but it was $3, and they all just kind of ran across the screen. And the one that was in the back they were all in velvet still. It was probably about this time of year, so just about to transition to hardhorn. And I mean, this dude was wide, tons of mass. I think he was at least he might have been an mainframe 8-point, but split G2s. I was just oh my gosh, this deer is massive. I know where I'm hunting. I'm hunting right by this camera this year.
Heck yeah.
And I think I spent 3 days there and did not see a single deer all 3 days that I hunted there. And I was like, screw this. I'm going somewhere else. I'm done. He's gone. He's in another area code probably. But best of luck to you. I'm sure that won't be the case for you. You'll probably have better luck.
You have better luck.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I do remember that video though. That was a good one. And like you said, you get good deer here and there up here, and the southern part of the state's definitely better than the northern half of the state. But just like anything though, you got to find them, you got to get on them. I mean, that's just how it works.
Yeah. Get on deer, kill deer. That's the formula.
Heck yeah.
Well, Gabe, do you guys have I don't even know if I know many people from Ohio. So I don't really know the hunting culture down there. I would think it's similar to Michigan just because of proximity. But do you guys have a strong deer camp culture down there? How does that look?
To be honest, I'm not really sure.
Okay.
I've only hunted, the only time I've deer hunted is on my in-laws' property. And I mean, I've never really been outside of that with deer hunting. So even with turkey, I think, and I'm not an avid turkey hunter, but when I was younger, when we did that was in southern Ohio. And I guess that was I guess you consider that a camp. We went down there for youth, a bunch of dads and their sons going down to a few different cabins from our church. And I just remember wanting to go down just to hang out with my buddies. I wasn't into the hunting at that time. So
yeah.
But yeah.
So the deer camp thing, right? I go up, I'm between 7 and 9 years old, probably my first year. It's my grandfather in his late 50s, maybe early 60s. And then his friend who's the same age, essentially. I think we had our great grandfather who is probably in his 80s at that point. And then me, right? So it was not to go and hang out with my buddies and my friends. But it was probably to at the very least to get out of school. I can go up north with Bubba for 5 days and miss 3 days of school. I'm in. Don't know about this hunting thing, but I am in if I can miss school.
Heck yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. That's kind of what it was for me too. I mean, it's because we got lucky and one of us would put a deer down every couple of years or whatnot, but we weren't by any means early on killing much, you know what I mean? So it was mostly to go up there, you get out in the woods and hunt a little bit, but it's more for the, deer camp atmosphere, I guess you would say, like just kind of hanging out, watching some old Westerns that the older guys would put on the TV, and that was about it.
Yep. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. And now we're kind of in the driver's seat as far as the family deer camp goes, which is fun. Like, especially now, I've had my two boys. Like I said, my oldest is almost 5, and Ryker just had his first. So I'm really excited. And then we've got a cousin who has 2 kids, but with a young son. And I'm excited to see what this deer camp looks like here in the next, 10 years or so. It's going to be fun seeing them all, for sure.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
Heck yeah, dude. Gabe, is there anything that you want to kind of leave us with as far as the app goes or anything like that?
I would say, I guess not anything we've already talked about. I think we've pretty much hit on everything that I can think of anyway. And thank you guys for like reaching out to me. Like, it's really cool. And once you said, we talk about Christ in the outdoors, I was like, sign me up. I'm all over that.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
Really blessed to be on here. So thank you guys.
Hey Gabe, where so right now everything it's on the App Store. It's soon going to be on Google Play, and then I saw an Instagram account too. Correct? And what are some other platforms that they can see on?
Yeah, we're on Instagram at BowTune app. I believe we're on Facebook. I hate Facebook. I try to post on that. Also at BowTune app, and then TikTok as well. So I wasn't gonna do a TikTok, but when I was talking to Mike from the boutique, he's like, dude, if it wasn't for that, the boutique wouldn't exist. So you got to set that up. And I was like, all right. So we got a TikTok at the BowTune app as well. And those are the main 3.
Heck yeah.
All right. Well, that's what we got for the In Creation podcast today, and I hope y'all are getting out in creation.
That's right. Remember, enjoy the creation, praise the creator. We'll see you next time.
Yep. Peace.